connection and opportunity all in one place. Come join the community. So text it now, don't wait in line. Fight for love. 949-290-2905. That's 949-290-2905. Wanna know where David's gonna be? Get invites, updates, and community. When he's in your city, you won't miss a thing. Just text the number, let your phone ring, 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 ring. 949-290-2905. That's 949-290-2905. Events, connection, and opportunity all in one place. Come join the community. So text it now, don't wait in line. Fight for love. 949-290-2905. That's 949-290-2905.
They discovered it, they read it, and they applied it. It's the golden thread that connects the titans of the self-development industry, the source that spawned millions of millionaires, the original blueprint to success.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Think and Grow Rich.
Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. It's a classic. A classic.
And I love Think and Grow Rich. I love it. It's right here. I mean, it's one of my favorite books of all time.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
This material is what changed my life. This is the material I study every day. From being an immigrant woman, coming from poverty, and really coming to America and literally achieving the American dream. I can't even tell you how grateful I am for this man, for what he did for me and my family.
Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve.
People don't realize is that when we let our ego get in our way, ego is the loss, the fear of loss. So need to be right, the need to be offended, the need to be hurt, fearful. When that trajectory changes, what happens is you continually go the wrong way. So my job as a coach is to say, let's get into the enjoyment of the direct pursuit of my potential. Right? And so when the light went on, it was not about the potential of making money and being an entrepreneur, which is one of my specialties. And I said to him, look, this is an opportunity now to show how great you really are. We can't let the outside voices, right, determine our success. The happiness that we have comes within. Why are you going to give that control to somebody else?
Thoughts become things. And I always wonder, why did no one teach us this? Why did we not learn this in school? Why did we not learn this from our families? If you make your study a priority, your life will change.
And I came up with 4 really valuable things that I took stock in. And the first one was gratitude. Simple gratitude. Although I grew up with nothing, I was always grateful. Throughout the whole process of consistently, persistently pursuing my potential, I was grateful. It made my past better, my present brighter, and my future even brighter than that. In fact, I tell people all the time, if you want to change your life, change your employee's life, your family life, it's very simple. 2 words, say thank you.
And we are all
all set with our intro video with our webinar Rockin' and Rollin' as we are live everywhere, and of course live here in the Breakfast with Champions, the greatest room in community on Clubhouse. And we have a very special treat with today's Napoleon Hill Institute training. Today's topic is going to be turning small actions into big results. And of course, we will be joined by the chairman of the Napoleon Hill Institute, Mr. David Meltzer, here very shortly to guide us through today's training. But we do have a very special guest that is not only joining training, but has made himself available to be of service to this community by starting off today's training with a little bit of Q&A session. That is the double B, that's Blaine Bartlett. You can reach him at blainebartlett.com. And Mr. Blaine, it is always great to see you here. Happy Wednesday. How are you?
I'm doing great, Nick. It's great to have you here, and it's great to kind of reverse the flow today. Start with a Q&A, and then we'll go into the lessons. So that's good stuff.
Always keeping people on their toes, and of course, always having a blast here where, of course, with our community all across every single platform. So I want to remind, as we get started here with the Q&A with you, Blaine, for all of our friends that are online, please make sure to put your questions for Blaine today into the room chat. And for everybody that's live here in the Breakfast with Champions, if you guys have a question for Mr. Blaine today, please use the hand icon to request to join the stage, and we will, of course, bring you up. And if you are already on stage and have a question for Mr. Blaine today, all you got to do is put a quick note in the room chat, and we will be happy to pass the mic over your way. Now, before we get rocking and rolling with the first question, Mr. Blaine, I, of course, want to invite but not obligate everybody in our community to come and join us. As, of course, we are on the road, on tour, over 200 cities every single year, inviting but not obligating our community to come and join us in person. And, of course, every single city that we go to, we add on what we call a car wash, which is the addition of a community meetup, holding court, interviews, even one of our VIP dinners for charity. So if you are in Atlanta, Georgia, come and join us tonight and tomorrow as we are here with the incredible Chad Sandrigan and Jesse Itzler, Justin Guarini from American Idol and the 7-time Broadway star. Of course, adding on a car wash while we're here in Atlanta. And then it's going to be off to Chicago at the National Restaurant Association show, plus a car wash. Then off to Las Vegas, Nevada, where we'll be in person with the double B, Blaine Bartlett, for the conclusion of Office Hours season number 10. I know we got Sharon Lecter and a ton of other special guests joining us, plus a car wash there as well. Then it'll be off to Minneapolis, Minnesota with Dr. Stefanos Anacropi, Bill Walsh, and so many others, plus car wash. Then we will be in Austin, Texas with the Aspire Business Tour family, plus car wash, and then rounding things out in Newport Beach, California with the incredible Mr. Tim Story, and on a car wash there once again. And ladies and gentlemen, that is just in the next 10 days. I know it is too much to keep up with, so you have to join what is our text community if you would like to be invited but not obligated to all of these opportunities and get the reminders on where we're going to be. So if you would like to join us, all you need to do is text us at area code 949, next 3 digits, 298, last 4 digits, 2905. And I know Gigi is going to go ahead and put that up on screen for all of our friends online and in the chat here in the Breakfast with Champions, so everybody can make sure to join our text community. But without further ado, Mr. Blaine, let's get rocking and rolling with today's Q&A. I have Mike here on stage who has been patiently waiting and ready to rock with the first question. So Mike, my friend, great to see you here. Happy Wednesday. Why don't you unmute yourself and kick us off? Let's get it. How are we doing, Blaine?
Hey, I'm doing well, Mike. It's good to have you here.
Fantastic. So my question today is this. With all the success that you've created in your life, what is the small action for you personally that you can attribute to one of your biggest successes or just success overall? What's that small action that you can attribute to that?
Well, the action steps are going to be situationally specific, but the key is, and you've just answered the question with the question, a daily small step. And it doesn't have to be a big, gigantic step, but I have found that taking that daily step makes a big, big difference. Nothing happens until, and this was something that Einstein said, nothing happens until something moves. And then Conrad Hilton, which was interesting here, I came across this today as I was doing some research for some writing I'm doing. Success seems to be connected with action, Successful people keep moving. Yes, they make mistakes, but they don't quit. The key there is keep moving. So it's easy to get disillusioned sometimes because I don't see the goal and the objective, appearing in front of me. But everything has a gestational period to it. It takes time for things to actually manifest. I got to do the do. I've got to do the do. And it doesn't have to be big, but just small little incremental steps. And it's the key here in large part has to do with making sure it's connected to something that I believe matters. So what matters? I call that the for the sake of what. So if I'm going to take a small step today, like my writing is a great example of that. I write every day. Did I make a positive contribution to my writing today? And this goes beyond, did I write 12 pages or did I, whatever it might be. The question I work with is, did I make a positive contribution to my writing today? That is connected to a for the sake of what, because I'm all about impact. That's what I want to have happen in my life with the work that I do. So small steps, and they will be situational depending on the goal and the nature of the objective that you're working towards.
Amazing as always. Thank you, Blaine. I appreciate it.
You bet, Mike.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mike, for the first question of the day. And I see a very friendly face and maybe a new face for you, Mr. Blaine. We got Marianne, who is here on stage with the next question. So, Marianne, why don't you unmute yourself and keep us carrying on by the next question?
Hi, Blaine. How are you?
I couldn't be better, Marianne. Thank you for asking.
Awesome. This thing has to do with your last question. So, capacity. Like when you like, I feel like I've just been building capacity for what's next, and I see like things opening up. So, but that's always been a conversation of mine. Like before I ever make a move or before I ever like grow, can you speak into like that capacity? Because we need a certain capacity to get to our next level.
Absolutely. And that's a great question. We've got a program, and you can get it on my website at blainebartlett.com, but it's a toolkit for generating sustainable success in life. And the way that I define sustainable success is pretty simple. It's about developing the capacity to continuously start over. I mean, that's essentially what we work with. And capacity, the way that we've worked with it in that little, it's a small little program. It's organized around essentially 5 different things: self-awareness, developing my capacity to continuously become more aware of what's going on in myself, but also in my environment. And it's that capacity building that around awareness that begins to make a difference, because awareness actually is a way that I begin to appreciate where is my attention being hijacked. What's it focusing on? And energy will follow attention. It doesn't follow intention. So I wanted, the capacity to become more aware. That becomes a foundational activity in developing sustainable success. Then there's courage. And courage has to do with developing the capacity to act even though I'm not sure what the hell I'm doing. Just taking that step. And part of it, part of what happens with courage is it begins to work with the dynamic of trust. And most people will think of trust as something that is in play with others. The real grounding component of trust is, do I trust myself to handle the consequences of this next step? So I have to develop that self-trust in order to have courage actually be present in my life. And then being able to choose effectively. This is where wisdom kind of comes into play. And in the program, I call that discernment. Do I have the ability to choose effectively, which moves me beyond judgment, right, wrong, good, bad, and into explorations around what's working and not working. Yeah. So developing a capacity to hold ambivalence is a big capacity that I want to be able to generate. And then, literally the capacity to continuously practice what it is that is going to lead me to where I'd like to go. Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes habits. And so I want to be able to develop a capacity that allows for me to practice new things. that allows for, from a neuroplasticity thing to rewire my brain. I rewire my brain, my mindset begins to shift. And then the final one has to do with, my networking capacity, being able to expand that. And when I start moving into unknown territory, as an example that you're describing here, I want to, I'll get stopped if I default to asking questions around how. How do I do this? And because almost every time that how question comes up, it kicks me back. It throws a rear view mirror into into my vision plane, and I start looking for what I've done before that will get me to where I want to go. But if I'm in new territory, that's probably not going to work well. So what I've developed here is a way of looking at that capacity that I call inclusion, my networking capacity. Who do I need to be able to connect with that can help me answer a new how, one that I've never thought of before?
Oh, this is so good. Thank you, Blaine.
You bet. You bet.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marianne. And I see our friend Kyle here has made his way up on stage. Kyle, happy Wednesday. Do you have a question for Mr. Blaine today? Feel free to unmute yourself.
No, happy Wednesday. No, I'm just getting back in Clubhouse. I haven't been on in a super long time, and a lot of my buddies are getting back on, so I just, wanted to come in and see what's up.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, good.
Thank
Welcome.
you for this Q&A session, and we're going to have the chairman of the Napoleon Hill Institute, Mr. David Meltzer, joining us here shortly. So, but thank you so much for hanging out with us, and I will absolutely, we appreciate you being here, and make sure to join our text community so you can also join us in person as we go on the road. And all that information can be found in the room chat. But for our next question, I'm going to actually go ahead and pass it over to Gigi, who are, I think, Blaine's favorite two letters in the alphabet, and that's, of course, Gigi. So, Gigi, unmute yourself, my dear, and carry us on with the next question.
Hello, happy Wednesday. Thank you, Blaine.
You're welcome, Gigi.
My question is, why is it so hard to be consistent? I've noticed, like even when I look at me and when I'm not, I don't have that patience. I look at different stuff and I was like, you had patience and the result happened. So my question is like, why is it so hard to build that patience?
Gigi, I love you. Great question. Consistency, and this is a specific answer for you. You appreciate novelty, and you will get bored easily if you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. You appreciate learning. You appreciate, your curiosity is one of your superpowers, truly, I believe. And you run into a quote unquote problem, or you run into difficulty when what you're trying to do requires consistency over a period of time. So one of the ways that you might be able to actually, kind of work with that is put some time boundaries on it. I am going to practice this. I'm going to be consistent with this for the next 3 months, and just kind of run that in a 3-month bite-sized chunk. Okay. So the way that, consistent practice works is when we begin to ignore time and it just becomes part of our way of being in life. As long as there's a, kind of a deadline or a have to that's embedded in it, consistency is difficult. I brush my teeth every morning. I brush my teeth every evening. I'm consistent with that. And mostly because it's not a have to any longer. It's something that I learned when I was a kid. And it now is just kind of part of my way of living. So when we begin to appreciate something as a way of living, then the question of, am I being consistent or not starts to become less and less relevant.
Great, thank you. I'll use the analogy with becoming and also the brushing the teeth, because I do that every day as well. I didn't even think about that. So thank you.
You betcha. So
I'd love to ask the question if I may.
I was going to say,
Alexandria, yeah.
it's all yours, my dear. You take it over.
Thank you, Nick. Great to see you, my friend. Hi, Blaine. So my question was, how do you prioritize your goals to focus on the right moves?
The way that works for me, Alexandria, and I'm not suggesting it's universal in the way that it would work for everybody else, but I do, this whole notion of for the sake of what, continues to come up in all of the work that I do in my life. And I started playing with this a number of years ago. And it's organized around the notion, that, well, not Napoleon Hill, I'm sorry. Oh, my brain just went dead. Earl Nightingale. Bob Proctor used to talk to me about this all the time when I was, Bob and I did a lot of work together. Earl had this way of defining success as being the pursuit of a worthy ideal. And that worthy ideal, that kind of notion stuck with me. And then I started, exploring what do we mean by a worthy ideal, because one size doesn't fit all. And where I got to was when I started stripping things down was essentially what I'm speaking about when I'm talking about a worthy ideal for myself, or when we're exploring a worthy ideal for our team or my organization. We essentially are talking about what matters, what really matters at a visceral level. And that's where emotional connection comes into play. So when I can land on that, what matters, what really matters here, then I can begin to prioritize what it is that I'm doing. I wrote a small book about a month and a half ago that was called Stop Drifting, Start Living. And most of us will get caught up in drifting away from what matters to us because of external pulls. It's squirrel, fear of missing out, FOMO, those sorts of things, which will compromise the way that we want to live our life, because now that squirrel has had a priority. My attention gets hijacked. And when my attention is hijacked, there goes, what it was that I said it was important to me. So I want to have a for the sake of what in place here that is that I'm emotionally connected to, that resonates with me. And when that's in place, now I can begin to prioritize. And the prioritization has to do with, it's literally a binary choice. Yes, I'm going to do this because it feeds and fuels what matters. Or no, I'm not going to do it because it takes me away. So, the ability, Steve Jobs talked about this, the ability to say no is far more important than the ability to say yes to something. And so we have to train that no muscle, if that makes sense.
Oh, that was fantastic feedback. And oftentimes we hear about training no in terms of opportunities, but we don't hear very much stuff around training no to ourselves and, resisting that urge of the shiny object. So that's fantastic. Thank you for that, Blake.
You bet, Alexandria. Thanks for the question.
Awesome. And as just a quick reset of the room here for everybody, I want to remind everyone we are here for the Napoleon Hill Institute training today. We are doing it a little bit reverse today. We're starting with the Q&A with a double B. That's Blaine Bartlett. You can reach him at blainebartlett.com. And then we're going to be joined here momentarily by the chairman of the Napoleon Hill Institute, Mr. David Meltzer, for the rest of today's training. But with that said, I do want to kick it over as we continue with this Q&A to the incredible Allie, who I know is one of Blaine's favorites. So Allie, why don't you go ahead and unmute yourself and carry us on with the next question.
Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Hi, Blaine.
Hi, Allie.
Question for the day is, I know you spend a lot of your life mentoring and guiding others. I'm curious, what's currently stretching or inspiring you at this stage of your journey, and what wisdom has come from that personally?
Great question. I'm doing something right now. I mean, I'm in my 70s, and I'm working right now on a PhD. So, that is actually stretching me, and it's a deep dive into essentially metaphysical philosophy and in the foundational impact of metaphysics on business ethics. Because when I look at the world today, there's nothing. the ethics of business has been severely corroded in my estimation. So I'm very curious about, can we identify a philosophical grounding point that can address the ills that are present with the way that crony capitalism is being conducted today.
That is incredible. Always impressed by you. How much longer do you have for the PhD?
Hopefully about another 3 months.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Allie. And for our next question of the day, I'm going to pass it over to Calvin, who has just joined us here on stage. So Calvin, happy Wednesday, my friend. Unmute yourself and carry us on with the next question.
Greetings. Yes, I want to say congratulations, doctorate, if I can say that. I have a doctorate in theology and metaphysics. I think it's awesome. My question to you is, what advice do you have for individuals? I've done a lot at a young age, and so I've heard people say that you can reinvent yourself. I love the statement that you talked about concerning sustainable, not sustainable improvement, but sustainable success. So my question is, I'm finding that's easier said than done. I have done a whole lot at a young age, and now I'm trying to reinvent myself. And it's not that easy, as I'm finding it's a lot of hard work. What is your advice to people who may be in that situation, who have done a lot, and they can sit down, but they have you look forward, I have another 30 or 40 years of work in me. So I'm like, Calvin, you got to get up, you got to work. What do you do? So what is the advice that you have for someone like that?
Calvin, I love this question. And the reason for that has to do with a conversation I had a couple of weeks ago that was essentially about this specific topic. Most people, in my experience, live their lives as if it's a story, a narrative. It has a beginning, a middle, large middle, and then an end point. And there's continuity through that story. I don't believe, in my experience, I don't believe that that is actually how life unfolds. Life is episodic, and each major episode in life has a beginning, middle, and a conclusion to it. And where we end up having difficulty in the way that you're describing it is we want to carry that chapter forward into the new book, if you will, that we're trying to create for ourselves. And that chapter, although it was an enticing chapter, I like that chapter, it doesn't belong in the new book. So part of what we want to be able to do, I believe, is give myself time to do a complete reassessment of, okay, now, I kind of go back to the question that I answered with Alexandria here. What matters? What matters to me right now? Because what mattered to me when I was 15 did not matter to me when I was 28. What mattered to me at 28 certainly did not matter to me when I was in my 40s. And what matters to me today, it's a completely new book. So, I mean, it'll be on my library shelf. That book will always be on my library shelf, but it doesn't have to be part and parcel. The narrative doesn't have to be there. The plot line doesn't have to be there. It can be a completely different novel, if you will. That's partly, I mean, if you begin to think of it in that way, what you're doing is not writing a new chapter of an existing life. You're writing a new book. And that new book is going to have different characters in it. It's going to have a different plot line. It's going to have a different, beginning, middle, and end. I mean, all of those things. It'll have a different narrative to it. I mean, different conversations. All of those sorts of things will come into that new book. So my invitation to you would be to just take a little bit of time and think about, okay, what's the title of this new book, and then use that title as the orientation piece. Hopefully that makes sense.
No, awesome. No, I'm listening. Yes, absolutely. I just like to listen and snatch up some nuggets, but absolutely. Thank you.
You bet. You bet. Thank you for the question.
Amazing. Thank you, Calvin. Jumping in here to help out Nick as well, as he's in transit as well. We're going to go next. Who's on stage here is Simona. Are you ready for a question as well?
Thank you very much. This is super exciting dropping in here. Greeting from Scotland. getting late and getting dark. And I have a question, Blaine. Do you think, like neuroscience-wise, there's a real need to have this friction to learn and to change? Do you think it's essential to have this friction when you change because of the myelin sheath that can kind of sheath the new neural pathways into superhighways? Is that necessary, or is it okay to make it easy, like attaching like a new habit to something that you already do, trying to lower the friction? Do you think, the question is friction essential, or is lowering friction really shooting us in the foot or helping us?
Well,
we need to get used to friction.
Well, Simone, do me a favor right now. Just take both of your hands and rub them together. Just rub them together. And tell me what you begin to experience as you rub your hands together. What are you feeling as you rub your hand? A little bit faster.
I feel energy and warmth.
Warmth, yeah, warmth, energy there. Now, here's an interesting thing. Friction, stress, conflict, kind of all come under the same rubric here. Friction is necessary for movement. Just kind of put it that way. If you tried to walk across a slate of ice without shoes that can actually grip the ice, you're going to be, I think of, I'll date myself a little bit here, but I think of Bambi trying to move across, the ice with Thumper trying to push him, the bunny rabbit. We need friction in order to generate traction. Now, one of the interesting things about friction is that it does generate heat, and an appropriate amount of friction, i.e. an appropriate amount of heat, can be a cleansing mechanism. So when you're talking about the myelin sheath, it can begin to transform the connections because it makes more, there's more exposed. Okay, that's one thing. The right amount of heat will also generate light. This is where the energy dynamic comes into play. Light is illuminating. It will allow me to see things that I hadn't recognized before. So the value of friction is that it both is a cleansing process, but it's also an illuminating process if I know how to work with it well. The difficulty that in my experience in the work that I've done with my clients, that people have with conflict, stress, friction, is they don't like the feeling of it. It's uncomfortable. And just from a Stoic philosophy perspective, it's not, or even a Buddhistic perspective, it's not the first arrow that causes the damage. It's what I see. It's my focus on the consequence of that first arrow, the debilitate, the pain that I feel. That's the first arrow is never going to really be that catastrophic. This is a metaphor. It's the second arrow that gets cast is my meaning that I assign to that first arrow. The meaning that I make up about it. This isn't pleasant. This isn't good. I need to avoid this. This is bad. This is going to complicate my life. Those sorts of meaning dynamics will usually get assigned to friction, conflict, and stress. If I don't assign the meaning to it, it's just friction. It's just something that potentially could illuminate, and there may be an unexpected opportunity, that appears because I was now paying attention to something different. Hopefully that's a generative answer for you, Simona.
And thank you so much for speaking in metaphors. That really works for me.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for the question.
Simona, I appreciate it. Have a good evening as well. Thank you so much for joining. Let's go with Catherine, who's joined us on stage. Catherine, if you can unmute yourself and please ask Blaine your question.
Wow, you guys are on the go. I feel like I'm at the ball field. Okay, so I'm working with a lot of people, maybe 10 in Africa from the Clubhouse family. And people are like, oh, scammers, one and all, Africa's scam. And even they'll say, we know people say this, but they've shown me pictures, videos, and we've talked for 3 to 6 months. If we can't trust people eventually, but they're very much in dire need. And so I'm trying to, do I go big? Like I have a whole game that we could explore sometime about permaculture, which is about how do people live in community, for a long time before the modern world. And these people are very smart, they're beautiful, they sing, they're positive. Any way we could bridge the gap between the wizards of, AI and, people who want to bring, the modern world an opportunity, because the government's kind of corrupt. I'm sorry for the, difficult communication part.
So what is your specific question there, Catherine?
But what would it take in this world? Like, who's going to make the first move? We have many people in need, but we do have this clubhouse hub. So kind of specific to this, we know who's who. I seem to be Mother Teresa type personality, and I have had quite a life experience and mostly good supports that can help people, apply for scholarship, pull together. But I'm wondering, what could we do to address this need, this huge differential and kind of, pressing need?
I don't have an answer to that $64,000 question, and I don't mean to minimize at all, the intent behind your question, but I honestly do believe that may be beyond the ken of this particular conversation. That's a larger undertaking. I do a lot, with my wife's foundation, the Unstoppable Foundation. We do a lot of work, and for the last 18 years, have done a lot of work in Africa. We've got about 500,000 people on a daily basis that are impacted by the work that we're doing in sub-Saharan Africa. So I absolutely resonate with what you're saying. In my mastermind program, I've got a couple of folks in there from Kenya and Uganda, young leaders that are making big differences in their governments, which is interesting. So there are things that can be done. And I don't know. Yeah, I guess my answer to that is, what's mine to do? Some people are called to that. Some people are not called to that. Some people are called to other things. So you particularly are called to doing something in that part of the world. And I think the more that you can find like-minded souls here on Clubhouse or in other venues, you can begin to create some sort of a movement, if you will, that may have the kind of impact that you're looking for.
Okay, thank you. I'll have to look into your Unstoppable Foundation, because I do have a free game. We could talk later, Turtle Garden. I could put it in the chat. But it helps people warm up to the idea we can be more than we thought. And this is exciting to hear. Maybe we can list your website too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Catherine.
Awesome. And jumping back in here, thank you, Mike, for helping us out as we were getting settled. I just want to do a quick reset of the room before David Meltzer jumps in, the chairman of the Napoleon Hill Institute, for today's training. So as we do a quick reset, we want to thank the double B, that's Blaine Bartlett. You can reach him at blainebartlett.com to get in touch with him and get more information on all the incredible value that he provides. And then for today's training, as we just wrapped up the Q&A session with the double B, the topic for today's training, as we dive into it here, is going to be turning small actions into big results. So, of course, I want to remind everybody, whether you're online or whether you're here in the Breakfast with Champions, the greatest rooming community on Clubhouse, if you guys would like the guide and exercise from today's training, all you need to do is email David directly. David@dmeltzer.com. Once again, that is David, spelt normally, Meltzer, it's like seltzer with an M. David means beloved, Meltzer means servant. Let him be your beloved servant by just emailing him, david@dmeltzer.com, to get the guide and exercise from today's training. And also, if for any reason you don't have a copy of his book, make sure to mention that, because he'd love to send you one for free. signing a copy, sending a copy, and even paying for shipping, ladies and gentlemen. All you got to do is david@dmeltzer.com. And without further ado, I see that Mr. Meltzer has joined us here on Clubhouse as well as on the webinar. So he is ready to rock and roll. Meltzer, turning it over to you to guide us through today's show.
All right. We got first a great deal of gratitude for Blaine Bartlett, blainebartlett.com. Blaine, we're going to go and do what we normally do, and we got about 20 minutes. I'm getting feedback. Hold on.
Love hotel rooms, don't you?
Yes, sir. All right. Nick Wam is wamming it. I went from the Atlantis to Atlanta, and as you know, Atlanta may not always be the most efficient in its airport circumstance, but turn small actions into big results is a big part of what I coach, teach, and mentor in understanding the small things. It's very Napoleon Hill-esque and Tao-esque. One of the first lessons or verses of the Tao talks about the journey of 1,000 steps starts with one step, a small step. We often underestimate, I would say, how much the small things that we do shape our future. Big results are rarely created by one massive moment. They're built through consistent decisions and behaviors repeated over time. A single workout doesn't transform our health. One follow-up doesn't build a business, and one conversation certainly doesn't create a relationship. But it's the repetitive, consistent, persistent pursuit in these small actions compounding into extraordinary outcomes. I want to talk to you today about this, Blaine, that success is not built in one moment. It's built in the moments we repeat daily. How do you think we do create momentum to maintain this process of creation with small wins? What does small wins build for us that creates these big outcomes?
Yeah, this was actually a question that we had in the Q&A, or a version of the question that we had in the Q&A. The key here is that it is small. That is the key. It is a small step that is bite-sized, that is doable, and over time, if I consistently work with it, it does create momentum. And the metaphor that comes to mind is it's impossible to turn a parked car. I mean, not impossible, but it's difficult. If you can get that car moving a little bit, it becomes much easier to get it to change direction, particularly, I mean, if you're pushing it. So it's those small steps that create motion. And then the creation of motion, you now have momentum. And then you just keep it going. So that's the value, I think, of small steps. It's bite-sized, it's doable. Everybody can take a small step. You want to link it to something that matters for the sake of what that is significant to you in your life.
And I think it creates less resistance, to get started. A small step, doesn't seem so overwhelming and allows us just to get started. I have a saying, which AI is applicable to, but 0 to 1 is harder than 1 to 100. And it's the definition of momentum. And it also is applicable to, these non-negotiable behaviors where I put a minimum of 2 minutes a day with each of my kids, for example, every single day, regardless of the circumstances of the day. And if anybody would like the non-negotiable side of small actions and how we assign time to small actions in order to create momentum of what's most important to us, regardless of the circumstance of the day, go ahead, email the beloved servant. David means beloved. @D is first initial. Meltzer, servant. David@dmeltzer.com. Get your exercise, your guide, and your books about those small actions and assigning time to small actions, which become non-negotiable behavior. The idea, though, of small actions is great, but they don't mean anything unless it's consistent. And one of the blessings of being a little bit OCD, if not a lot OCD, is that when we apply OCD to good behaviors, it can be a superpower in life. I always say, take a weakness, move it to a different place, and it becomes a superpower. Consistency is what compounds result, and inconsistent effort creates inconsistent outcomes. And small actions only create big results when repeated consistently over time. I love to say that human beings don't like two things. They do not like the truth, and they do not like repetition. They don't like consistency. Over the years, you have inspired, empowered, and promoted people to be consistent in the persistent behaviors. Are there any mechanisms, methodologies, systems, processes, tips that you can give someone to remember, remind, and recollect to be consistent? Because look, my favorite video of all time, Blaine, you're going to love this, about consistency was there's a guy who dedicated, literally, he was doing a video where he filmed every day for, it was like 10 seconds a day to create a 5-year video. And it was this montage. And it was, my favorite day was day 37 because he put up a sign that said, "Oh shit, I forgot." Could you imagine, like, your primary project is to do this video every day, but he literally just forgot. I forget to say thank you sometimes. And that's my main mission, is to teach people gratitude. What is it about human nature? How can we help people just remember to be consistent?
It's a great, and I know what video you're talking about.
It's so cool.
It is. It's very cool. But I think that, part of the answer to that has to do with a focus on, steady execution over perfection. It's kind of like, oh shit, I forgot. Okay, get back on the horse tomorrow.
Yeah.
Get back on the horse tomorrow. And it's, because when I take on a new practice, it's uncomfortable. It is awkward. So the organism, literally the biological organism, the mindset structure, the paradigm is going to push back, and it has influence. And so it will conspire to have me forget sometimes, but I want to notice it. And as soon as I notice it, I kind of, okay, got it. So part of the real trap is a binary: right, wrong, good, bad. I did it, I didn't. Take the binary, piece of that out, out of the process, and just get back on the horse.
Yeah, forgiveness sounds to be a big part. So it seems as if there's certain conditions in human nature that's unavoidable. And when we try to avoid the unavoidable, we create frustrated situations or interference between us and our potential. I think the bigger takeaway for me and consistency is how important forgiveness is. And if anybody would like that forgiveness lesson in number 2, to be consistent in compounding our bigger outcomes with small actions, email me, david@dmeltzer.com. I love the humility and the fact that, you know what, Dave, there is no cheat. There is no shortcut. You're just going to forget shit because you're human. So, utilize forgiveness and super prioritize the things you forgot yesterday, today, so you don't double down and create a new habit or big outcomes that you don't want. The next thing that I want to discuss with you is discipline. I believe that discipline does nothing if it's not in the divine direction. So I use the word devotion, which is a much more powerful form of discipline. But without discipline or devotion, there is no scalable business. There's no scalable outcomes in this momentum that's created. And without devotion, we have to rely on a short-term boost of energy called motivation. Motivation gets us up, gets us back up, gets us started, get us back started. But it's inspiration, inspired discipline in divine direction of devotion that allows these small actions to become the systems that scale these unbelievable big results. In this idea of the difference between motivation and being disciplined, or inspiration and being devotional, how is that relative to the scalability part of these small actions turning to big results?
Great question. And I love this particular lesson. Motivation almost always is externally oriented. There's something out there that I feel compelled to move towards. I mean, again, the language, it's out there. I move towards it. It's not, I experience it as not being part of me. So that disassociation lends itself to breaking discipline. Inspiration, it lives in me. I'm inspired. And this is why I work with, and you and I both work with, this notion of, for the sake of what? What matters? That's an internal dynamic. And so I become devoted to expressing that in my life, to having that manifested in my life. And that that actually gives me some wiggle room, in the sense of, as long as it's in here, if I stub my toe out there, I know that it's in here, and all I've got to do is get back on the horse again and keep the movement going. So discipline creates scalability if it's connected to for the sake of what, in a way that actually truly matters inspirationally for myself, for my team, for my business.
I love it. If you need that for the sake of what exercise or guide, email me, david@themelter.com. It's a form of reconciliation between detachment and discipline in a divine direction, which we define as devotion. No excuse for the alliteration. The next lesson that I wanted to get to is focus itself. Understanding what we pay attention to, as Napoleon Hill says, and give intention to by what we do, say, think, feel, and believe. When we put attention and intention on the next do it now or do it next action, we provide a statistical success. We provide an efficiency that's bar none. I call it the empty mile, because very few people can do it, compared to the extra mile, where people go the extra mile every once in a while, and then they use that to justify why they never get to where they want to be. Overthinking a lot of times is an interference, analysis and paralysis. But a lot of times they don't understand there's a difference between this paralysis and paying attention and giving intention to our next step along a journey of circumstance and uncertainty. How do you distinguish between focusing in on what your target is and the difference between giving intention to what your target is?
I lived and worked in Japan for a bunch of years, over a decade, and there's a Japanese martial art called Kyudo, and basically it's archery. And when you're looking at a Kyudo, master, they have the target in mind. They see the target. They know where the target is. So their attention is oriented around that, but their intention, if I can use it in this way, their intention is in the drawing of the bow. Their intention is in the moment. The arrow is going to take time to get to the target, but now is the only place that I can actually affect anything that is going to generate that potential outcome. So the drawing of the bow, the knocking of the arrow, all of that stuff. Do I feel the tension in the bow and the string? Does it feel appropriate? All of those things. So the attention is on the target, but the intention is making sure that these exquisitely fine-tuned pieces are paid attention to. And it's in the moment that happens.
I love it. And if you would like that intention exercise of the mathematical equation of luck, what we pay attention to and give intention to equals the coincidences, the bullseyes of our lives, the coinciding of the universe with our focus and intention in order to facilitate long-term exponential big results with small actions. Now, the next thing is I have created a AAA strategy, and I want to offer it to everyone that I think is so important when we're talking about small actions and big results. Whatever it is you utilize, I believe the majority of our time is in drawing the bow back in the alignment with our divine direction and the meaning of the past. Then we take these small actions, but one of the other small actions that we have to take is preparing for adjustment. And when we make these small adjustments, that's what creates massive change, because it can reduce or lessen the resistance that is there by learning the lessons, finding the solution within the problem, which is called a resolution. How important is this AAA strategy, which, by the way, I'll send to everyone, david@themelter.com, alignment, action, and adjustment. How important are these small improvements, these adjustments? Do they actually create the massive change?
Yes, they do. Absolutely. And, again, I just mentioned Japan. There's a Japanese philosophy called Kaizen, continuous improvement. And continuous improvement basically is a AAA. You do something, you adjust, and I mean it's always an exploration. What can we do better here? What can we refine? How can we improve? I mean, it's that continual piece. And it, discipline, continuity, repetition. We begin to practice this over time. So all of that starts to come into play. One and done is not the way that we work this.
I love it. One and done won't get it done, but AAA strategy will. Email me for the AAA strategy. It also isn't connected to goodness. David, beloved, at D, first initial, meltzerservant.com. David at dmeltzer.com. The last lesson of today, as we are moving and grooving at a lightning speed with small questions and small lessons, understanding the alignment of the past. So when we're looking at this big vision, these big outcomes, and we talked about aligning the divine direction, we also have to align the meaning of our past. This is what limits our self-image and our imagination. Notating will never overachieve our own self-image. How do we eliminate that which is a meaning, a trauma, a mistake of the past from interfering with our potential?
Awareness, I think, is a foundational piece on that. So, I'll just kind of put a pin in that. The idea in this lesson is literally the title of this lesson is aligning small actions with big vision. It's not important necessarily what the vision is. What's important about vision is what it makes possible. And what it makes possible is the aligning of small actions towards a desired outcome. So that's what we want to be paying some attention to here is, what do in part of that alignment process is prioritization. What am I saying no to? Because I will get distracted. Squirrel, fear of missing out on an opportunity, all of that stuff. So I want to be able to align my actions, and that's what the big picture does. But that's also something that I start to take back into the small little chunks. What am I saying no here that will keep me on path? It's more important what I say no to than what I say yes to.
Always, you're made by the people, the things, the situations, events, and circumstances that you say no to. Talking about possibilities, if you want to move your possibilities into reality, BlaineBartlett.com. That's where we all go. My teacher, my coach, my mentor. He has created the nothingness into a possibility, the possibility into a probability, my probability into a perspective, and my perspective into a reality. He's taken it a step farther by allowing me to apply RY. If you want to learn how to change the meaning of your past, notating, I have a change the meaning of your past exercise. David at dmeltzer.com. The life, business, and relationships we want are not created overnight. They're built daily through the small actions we consistently choose. We forgive ourselves when we can't remember to do them, and we try not to stack the losses and build the gains and the gifts and the wins that we create every single day. The most successful people like Blaine Bartlett are rarely separated by one giant advantage. They separate themselves through discipline, devotion, repeated execution over time. Big results are simply small actions repeated with intention, devotion, and consistency. This has been your turn your small actions into big results. If you like a replay of the Q&A session with Blaine, with my training and the exercises and guides and books from today, David at dmeltzer.com. David at dmeltzer.com. Blaine, thanks so much for joining us. If you want to be mentored, coached, or taught by the greatest, that's Blaine Bartlett. He's my guy, BlaineBartlett.com. We'll see you soon, my friend. Thanks for covering for me at the beginning.
You bet. And I'll see you on Monday in Vegas.
See you in Vegas. That's inviting everybody else as well. We're here in Atlanta. If you want to stop by and see Jesse Itzler, myself, Chad Chandrigan, Justin Guarini. If you'd like to see Kim Walsh-Phillips, come by tomorrow here in Alpharetta, Georgia. Then, as mentioned, we'll be in Chicago for the restaurant show, keynotes, interviews, holding courts, VIP dinners, then Vegas VIP dinner, and the show. That's right, season 10 closing out at the Wynn. Come and join us. Then Aspire hasn't stopped. There was a rumor there was no Aspire in June. Yes, there is. And it's in Austin, Texas. Come and join us. And then we'll finish up with Tim Story in Newport Beach, Tim Story Mastermind. Come and join. Act like a champion you are Mastermind. We'd love to see you. If you want to stay informed and invited, we have a text community to stay informed and invited. The area code's 949-298. Next three numbers. And the last four numbers, 2905. Area code 949 is pinned right there. 949-298-2905. I got to jump to a VIP dinner. Remember, be more interested than interesting. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds. Hit it, Gigi.
Wanna know where David's gonna be? Get invites, updates, and community. When he's in your city, you won't miss a thing. Just text the number, let your phone ring, 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 ring. 949-298-2905. That's 949-298-2905. Events, connection, and opportunity. All in one place. Come join the community. So text it now, don't wait in line. 949-298-2905. That's 949-298-2905.
They discovered it, they read it, and they applied it. It's the golden thread that connects the titans of the self-development industry, the source that spawned millions of millionaires, the original blueprint to success.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Think and Grow Rich.
Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. It's a classic. A classic.
And I love Think and Grow Rich. I love it. It's right here. I mean, it's one of my favorite books of all time.
Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
This material is what changed my life. This is the material I study every day. From being an immigrant woman, coming from poverty, and really coming to America and literally achieving the American dream. I can't even tell you how grateful I am for this man, for what he did for me and my family.
Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve.
People don't realize is that when we let our ego get in our way, ego is the loss, the fear of loss. So you need to be right, the need to be offended, the need to be hurt, fearful. When that trajectory changes, what happens is you continually go the wrong way. So my job as a coach is to say, let's get into the enjoyment of the direct pursuit of my potential. Right? And so when the light went on, it was not about the potential of making money and being an entrepreneur, which is one of my specialties. And I said to him, look, this is an opportunity now to show how great you really are. We can't let the outside voices, right, determine our success. The happiness that we have comes within. Why are you going to give that control to somebody else?
Thoughts become things. And I always wonder, why did no one teach us this? Why did we not learn this in school? Why did we not learn this from our families? If you make your study a priority, your life will change.
And I came up with 4 really valuable things that I took stock in. And the first one was gratitude. Simple gratitude. Although I grew up with nothing, I was always grateful. Throughout the whole process of consistently, persistently pursuing my potential, I was grateful. It made my past better, my present brighter, and my future even brighter than that. In fact, I tell people all the time, if you want to change your life, change your employee's life, your family life, it's very simple. 2 words, say thank you.